Hello everyone, my name's Tim, I'm the Silver Coder. Today we are looking at a to-do application I've been working on. You could probably say these are a dime a dozen, especially in the world of YouTube. I'm going to say probably this one is a slightly bit different, and the reason why you'll see in a moment. So the information about this particular to-do can be found at this location. So let's go to that web page and have a little look at what it talks about and go from there. So basically, ultimately what you're looking at here is a text-based type system where and the let's say the developer of this system basically provides a rationale for this being operating system agnostic, searchable, portable, lightweight, etc. And you don't have to worry about exporting, importing databases, tags, flags, or anything like that. So, and then it talks about, goes into the, what's important in a to-do list, and then it shows you what the format is like. The first 1, 2, 3, 4 parameters are optional, and then you have the text itself with other tags and flags, etc. So moving from left to right, we have a marker to indicate whether or not an item is completed. Then there is a priority flag, shall we say, A, B or C. Then the next optional field is a completed date or completion date. The next field is a creation date, and this one must be specified if the completion date is so. Basically, if you have a completion date, then you should have a creation date, and then ultimately the next field is then the description plus other information. The plus sign is used for projects, and the @ symbol is used for a context. So a context might be an email, phone call, sort of thing. And then you've got special key values, and that's up to you really. So what I've done here is a command line for say for my laptop here. I have I'm writing this command line driven program, which we'll talk about in a moment, and I also have it in a folder that gets uploaded to, or that gets kept in sync with Dropbox. And because it's on Dropbox, then I can easily get it from my phone, and there will be a point in time when this will be on my phone, so I can do, let's say, updates on it by swiping, etc. So to look at what we have done so far, I might just quickly start. Well, no, go back to the README file. So basically, what I've got is, by the way, these are short commands and these are the long commands. So add versus I, L versus list, and LA for list all. So we've done an add function where we can, let's say, we say -I and then an item to add to the to-do list. We can then list items in that list, and we could also do a list all. Today then, what I'm planning on doing is showing you, or adding in I'm going to want to add in 3 functions, but if I only get the first 2 done, I think that'll be a good start. The delete function is one I want to add in. So let's just say something gets, hey, go to the chemist. My daughter tells me to go to the chemist, and then 5 minutes later she tells me not to. Rather than completing that, I could delete that one. And then a touch parameter would be something like, if you look at the items in my to-do list here, you can see that I just have a bit of text, except for the last one has a date as part of it. So what I want to do with touch is set a date for all of them, so they all at least have a start date. An archive would basically then move items that had been completed and put them, let's say, somewhere else. So that would go in like a done list file or done.txt file. So this is the to-do list. This is the to-do list text file, which does actually match what is shown here, because it shows here this is a perfectly valid file, and you can see here that post signs around the neighborhood for a garage sale. And I think what we could do now is to start looking at the code, what I've got so far here. So all I'm really doing is, you've got one command at a time, so I'm not going to later combine something like inserting items in a list. And I actually do have a function here that I've had. Did I say I'd done one that I have marked as? And that is one other function that I have done, is that I have actually done a completed function as well, which allows me to flag items as being completed. So what we need to let's just get the ball rolling here. And what we're going to do is copy this function here, essentially, because the next action will be quite similar, where we're going to delete, hang on, let's make that a lowercase d, and here my coffee hasn't kicked in today yet. We're going to delete, and we're going to get some items, missing items to delete. And here we will now delete these items. And what we'll do, we need to now create that function in my command. We'll add that to my commands, and let's go to here, ABC, and delete. How do I put it there? Anyway, so essentially this one here will be similar to this function here, like I said, except we are going to be removing items from a list. So we'll come up to what these functions do in a minute. So they're the items I want to remove, and that will be a string list as well. Okay, so let's get rid of all of that. We'll get rid of all of that, and we'll make that a int I. We probably should comment that out for a start. Okay, so what I've got here is to go through what we have. I've got a model here which basically represents one of the to-do items. At the moment I don't have the priority, and I have a function here which will, or constructor I should say, which will take a string like one of these lines here, and we'll break that apart into its various parameters. So you can see here, if the line starts with an X, then we know it's completed. If the line does start with an X, then we go to the next string, which could be a date. We're hoping it's a date, and if it's not a date, well, it'll come down to here. Not a digit, must be the description. So then the next, so if it is completed, get the next, get the rest of the string after that, essentially. And and the next part of it is to if we do have a number, then we will break off that number to the next one, and we're saying it's a date. At the moment, there is nothing stopping this. Could, shall we say, crash if I don't have a date in there, or the date is correctly formatted, such as I just put in a numeric value. I'm going to say that for the sake of this demonstration video, that part there is not overly critical, and we could add that in at a later date, but it would be helpful to have such functionality in there. Next, I will set the completed. The next interesting one here will be whether or not an item is completed, and if an item is completed, then we will set the completed date to now, and we will then also check whether we have a created date or not. So if we don't have a created date, then that will get set as well. Actually, check created date. Where is that function now? Having said that. Okay. Oh, I know I've got that other function. Anyway, so this basically represents, and we have a function here where we can take the item and convert it back to a string, and that string is basically what makes it look like that. You can look at that at yourself. My little database here, it essentially is a wrapper over a string list, and the reason why I have an open mode is for, let's say, a list type function. I only want to be able to have it in read only, do something with it, whereas if I want to append or delete a function, I want to open it in read write. And really what I want to be able to do, say, is that when the database is freed, I want to be able to save whatever changes were made. If I'm in read only, it doesn't, I don't really care. Well, I don't really want to save, I should say. The next one that we're looking at here are our commands, and that's what we're essentially working on here, where we've got the add list, list all complete, and now we are working on the deleted function. So basically what we're going to do here is, because when the database is loaded, it will, if we go over here, you'll see that if the database does exist, it will read the contents of this text file into a list into f rows, and then the next trick will be that we need to take in the parameters which we've selected for deletion and actually do that part here. Now, so if we go over here now, we want to that should be renamed delete list. Delete. Oh, yeah, let's call it delete list. And that will go there. And what will we have here? For int I, assignment equals L delete list dot count, the count -1 down to 0 do. Okay, now the other thing here, by the way, actually one thing I should show you right now is the to do minus, let's do list all here. You can see that I've got a number for each, and my number starts from 1 through to n, whereas a string list goes from 0 to n-1. And if I wanted to delete the last item, that's item, what you see is item 5 is really item 4. And in this particular case here, if I did want to delete an item, it will be something like this. So to do minus delete, and then I could say 2, 5, 1, for instance. And you'll note here that, well, the first thing to note is that, let's say my order is, I'm not specifying whatever the order is. So what we're going to look at here, something which is important, is why am I going to process the items in reverse order. So if we have an initial list here where item 0 is A, 1 is B, etc., then if we wanted to delete items, let's say we selected to delete items 1 and 2, then after deleting the first item, then everything gets shoved, back to, back by 1, and therefore the second item is now actually the first item. And if there were only 2 items in the list, then the count's actually 1 now and not 2. And depending upon how the compiler does things, with optimization or not, then, can create havoc. The other way, if you did want to be able to preserve it in order, then you would need to somehow, let's just say, flag the first item as being deleted, and then, if we are going to save it, we need to have some sort of compacting function. Whereas if we process the items in reverse order, such that we wanted to, let's say, delete item 7, let's say we want to delete items 1 and 7, then if we delete item 7 first, then item 1 is still going to be A. So that's why we do these in reverse order. Essentially, we want to make sure we don't screw up things. So back to here, so we're going to go in reverse order, and what integer for var, that should be a var, I'm getting myself confused here. VAR, and here we are going to let's get the, so in the delete list, and we're going to go delete list I. Now these are going to be in sorted. Okay, so what I'm going to point out to you here is the when I'm going to get the items to delete, I do want them in order. Why do I want them in order? So if the user does do something like, where do I have that? Does something like the delete 2, 5, and 1, then I'll get it in order 1, 2, and 5, and then in reverse order 5, 2, 1. So we're going to look at item 5 first. And that is, so what my comment here is that we, ensure the list is in some sort of order for the delete operations, and even if the list is in ascending order, that's going to be good enough for the moment. Strictly speaking, I could probably check whether the items are valid in here, and the other thing that I'm not checking is, whether or not the user has specified a number in each place. So let's continue on, shall we? So we're going to convert that number. So we're looking at, let's say we are looking at the last item. We're going to say, so let's say 1 becomes 0 for a delete type function, and we can return that value, and if it's outside the range, then we will return -1, and if it is greater or equal to 0, then the to-do database dot rows dot delete, and that will be can get rid of those two. Now the other check we should probably put here is I don't really want to delete an item which has not been completed, I'm thinking. So I've got some code down here which I can probably steal, and let's take all of that code for the moment. Well, what are you doing, Delphi? Okay, we don't care for that one. We do want that, and we may want that one. Okay. So, okay, so we're going to do the deleted items, get that one there, so that'll now be 5. Okay, so LIDX will be here, to there, create an item, and we can say here, if not completed, then that, and now we need to free the item I've just created. I think that should just about do it. So basically work through the list backwards again. 5 becomes 4. 5, that's valid. Get that row out. If it's not completed, then we can delete that particular row. Yeah, okay. Let's have a look at this function here in action now. So we'll now just go to project and build. And by the way, I am just working with a little test file here, so it's not going to be the end of the world if I make a mess of it. So let's just delete the backup work PC, shall we? So that'll be to do minus d colon and 3 and minus LA, and now that particular item has been removed. We can also see it, by the way, over here if I care to. There you go. Now, what was that next function? So that's that one out of the way, and the next one is a touch, so it's going to be minus T. Okay, check all the items have a started date. Only process items not completed. And we can set the start date. Okay. So let's go back to our main function. So we're really going to be only having 2 command line switches, by the way. Oh, just as a aside here, you might wonder why I'm writing the code like this. In my C programming days, I have done, well, quite a few languages actually, but that's beside the point. I am, underneath it all, I am actually using the find command line switch, which does make things a lot easier for processing. And you can see here, it might be up, if you look up here, it tells you about what this thing does. So it does actually make your programming a lot easier than it might otherwise need to be. So just be aware of what's there. So back to the main unit, and we're going to go down to here. Now this one, the touch command is going to be, let's get rid of that one and let's go down here. I might rearrange all of these one day so they're in some sort of logical order, but that's not for today. And here we're going to go T or T-O-U-C-H. You wouldn't think I've been programming that time with all the errors I'm making. Okay, so we're going to go here, and this one here will be touch. And let's go back into here, and it will be similar to this one here, but procedure, Procedure, Control C. So let's go look at the list command, and here okay, now let's so let's put into there no, I'll leave it like that for the moment. That's that one, that's that one. We'll say here if begin L item dot completed equals true, and that will fill in the completed date to start. Well, actually, no, I just want to fill in the created date, don't I? Created date equals now, and then we don't need that line, put that there, and now we've got to do something about the saving of that all. Okay, so I'm going to make an assumption. If I take out that line, then I could okay, and here okay, let's go to here, begin equals L. Do that. So for all the items in our database, get the current row, convert it into an item. If it's not completed, well, that is true actually, but we may already have a completed date there. So if is valid, if not, because I'm allowing a person to, I mean, you could set it manually, you know, so there's that one. And here I also want to open it in read write mode. So open it in read write mode so that when I do free it, it will save it back out. So if it's completed, and okay, let's Okay. There was a small, not small, there was a bug in the code. So when I converted the line into an item here, we need to look at this bit of code here. It would create itself first of all, and then just to give myself all some valid values, and unfortunately that constructor had set the created date to now, and because it set that to now, well, basically it wouldn't get updated in the end. If we go back to here, so that basically means now, so what we have completed now are the we've now added in a touch function, so we can put up here to do -t touch, and we've also got the to do -l. I think what we'll hang on to do, that'll be -d actually, followed by 1 2 3. I think that will do it for today. I'm going to work on the archive function at my leisure, and if you want me to show you in the next video what the code looks like, let me know. I may add some other functions in here between now and then to work on, let's say, filtering by project or similar, because these will be functions which will be, I'm going to find quite useful. And if you do want to, the other thing to look at then really here is to, let's just say we mark to do -x, and we'll say that the fourth item is completed. And if we do to do -LA here, you can see it now has an X in front of it, where if you just do the list, then you'll see it's not there, and they're the items that are remaining to be done. As usual, if you like my content, don't forget to hit the like button, or subscribe even. It'll help this channel to grow a bit, and then other users of Delphi can see it as well. And also, by the way, this will be this file now, by the way, will be uploaded to Dropbox, overriding my old one, but that's okay, I can put it back. So smack the subscribe, smack the like, smack the notifications, and until next time, I will see you later, and bye.